All right, welcome back, everybody, to another week of The Lion and His Men. We are on number 3 of 10 must-haves for mighty men. I must be humble, I must be pure, and this week, I must be brave. What is the difference between bravery and bravado? Generally, when we think of bravery, we try to define bravery or illustrate bravery. We use firefighters, law enforcement, military. These are kind of our go-to examples for what it means to be brave. And these examples give us a hint as to one of the ingredients of bravery, in that the brave exploits pursued by these men and women always include another person. So firefighter running into a burning building while everyone else is running out, either to save life or to save property. Law enforcement rushing towards the site of a mass shooting instead of away, again, to save life. Special forces out in the field, outnumbered 100 to 1, and then running into the firefight to help a wounded comrade because no one dies alone out there. Brave. These scenarios give us a hint as to one of the elements of bravery, one of the things that it means to be brave, and that is that there's always another person involved. So I return to my original question. What is the difference between bravery and bravado? I think it's actually quite simple. One of them is self-forgetful, and the other is self-absorbed. Bravery prefers no audience, whereas bravado you can't pull off bravado without an audience. It's all about the audience. Why would you strut around, beating your chest if no one was there to see it? So one requires display, the other one avoids display. Okay, next question this begs. Can you have bravery and bravado at the same time? I would go out on a limb and say, no, it's not possible to be self-forgetful and self-absorbed at the same time. Okay, but then is it possible to be brave or to do brave things for selfish, self-absorbed reasons? Yeah, it is possible to be or to act unselfish for selfish reasons, but it doesn't take a rocket science to know that's not real unselfishness. It just looks like unselfishness. It looks like, bravery. So this begs the question, am I brave? Do I find myself always running away from danger, or do I run towards it? Am I avoiding the hard thing or just diving into the hard thing? Am I bold to make selfless sacrifices? And am I willing, or am I happy to do those things without an audience, or do I need an audience in order to do the great exploits? And if the answer to any of those things is pointing my indicator towards bravado, then how can I become brave? I've concluded it comes down to 3 things. Number 1, I must embrace a mission that is larger than myself. I think of David and his mighty men. And in fact, this one interaction in particular when David's like, oh, I want a little cup of water from the well at Bethlehem. The only problem is that Bethlehem is a Philistine garrison at the time. His mighty men, gather themselves up a little group. They draw their swords. They hack their way into the middle of the Philistine garrison. They draw out this cup of water, and then they hack their way all the way out without spilling the cup, bring it back to David and go, give him his cup. And of course, he pours out the whole thing as an offering before the Lord because he couldn't stand to drink it. In the case of that scenario, the mission was honoring the anointed one, their leader, their master, David. It wasn't about any of their individual glory or individual exploits. So embrace a mission much larger than yourself. Secondly, I would say, keep your eyes on the prize. Again, in that scenario, for all of those men, the prize was the cup of water in Bethlehem. It wasn't the audience. In fact, better if they didn't have an audience. And then thirdly, be willing to be disposable. When we are engaged in some kind of exploit and we've done some great thing for God, it's easy to slip into the mindset that, oh, I am a great mighty man of valor now. Yeah, but remember, God doesn't need you. He doesn't need me. If we weren't available or if we don't cooperate, he could use the rocks. And in fact, I think the rocks would cooperate with him better than we do sometimes. So I am disposable and should remember that, right? So embrace a mission much larger than yourself. Keep your eyes on the prize or your eyes on the leader. Be willing to be disposable. Another way to say those things would be fixate on the mission, follow the leader, and forget yourself. If my mission isn't much bigger than I am, then yeah, I'll never be frightened, but I'll also never be brave. Now, there's another kind of bravery that I mentioned in my summary, which doesn't involve others, though it doesn't have an impact on others, and that is resilience. This is, again, willingness to do the hard things at some cost to yourself, specifically in this context, the cost of getting back up. This requires the same embracing of the mission and forgetting your own emotions as the other kind of bravery, except that it's exercised kind of internally. You are yourself the recipient of the bravery, as if it was your soul buoying up your heart when your heart threatens to be shattered. Some people call this mind over matter. I think a better way to say it is beauty over ashes, the oil of joy over mourning, the garment of praise over the spirit of heaviness. And while it may look like a different principle than, heroism exercised towards other people, ultimately it's made of the same ingredients: resilience. Fixate on the mission, follow the leader, and forget yourself. And if you find yourself meeting with resistance or failure or personal pain, fixate on the mission, follow the leader, and forget yourself. When you pay a high personal price for fidelity, fixate on the mission, follow the leader, and forget yourself. When you fall and you feel like, oh, it's over and I'll never be strong again, that's the lie that the tempter tells, you get up, you fixate on the mission, follow the leader, and forget yourself. So there you have it. Bravery exercised externally and internally. We need more of it, and we can have more of it if we will. That is it for this week. I must be humble, pure, and number 3, brave. And make sure to, what should I encourage you to make sure that you do this time? Maybe I should say, do you know that I can see the stats in the behind these videos, and most of 70% of the videos are being watched by people who have not subscribed. Like you. That's it for this week. As always, like, share, subscribe. Let's add more men to the movement. And until next week, for the roar of the lion and the love of the lamb, I'm Sean Neblett, and this is The Lion and His Men.